Otherwise, let me introduce Paul. He is our COO, been with us for, I don't know, 2 years now, Paul?
Yeah, just a little over 2 years. Yeah.
Yeah. So Paul is going to go ahead and teach you all how to make paracord bracelets. Both of us have made thousands and thousands of them, and you'll understand just how quick and easy they are to make. And I hope you enjoy the class. Take it away, Paul.
All right. Good morning, everyone. How's everybody doing? All right. I guess a good response is just kind of a wave, but I know we got it. I can see most of you. Who is on the East Coast? Anybody on the East Coast? All right, a couple people. I'm in DC, so we're just outside of DC. How about Midwest? Anybody in the middle part of the country? Yeah, whereabouts? Where are you guys? Oh, you got to pop off mute if you want to say something.
I'm from Utah.
Utah, okay.
Denver.
Denver.
I'm from Cleveland, Ohio.
Ohio. All right. How about our East Coasters? Where are the East Coasters from?
I'm from Boston.
Boston. You don't sound like you're from Boston.
Let me talk a little more and then you'll see.
That's great. How about our other East Coasters?
I'm from Cleveland. Sorry. I guess I got confused with Midwest, East Coast. I'm Eastern time.
It's coming that way. Yeah, of course. And then I'm maybe just a couple West Coasters there with Kelly. Any other West Coasters? Penny, where are you from? Oh, Penny can't find her mute button.
Penny, if you just tap and hold your space bar down, you'll come off of mute for that long. So as long as you're holding it, you're off mute. Nope, still can't hear you, darling. I think you've locked up.
Does that look familiar, Penny? He sits behind me, right? He keeps me honest throughout the day. I just got to keep my son from stealing it. My son's a Marine too, so I keep it up high so he doesn't see it every day and try to take it when he visits me. So thank you for this. It's one of my most treasured mementos here in my office. So it's great to have it. And then I think we got everybody. Yeah. How about anybody here? You can just raise your hand. You don't have to tell me, but anybody here come from a military background or military family? Anyone? Okay. How about from a first responder family? Maybe a firefighter, police officer in the family? Anybody? How about in the healthcare community? Nurse, doctor, EMT, EMS? Yeah. We, as you probably know from hearing about Operation Gratitude and speaking with Kelly, I'm sure most of you are familiar with what we do at Operation Gratitude and our role in not only thanking all those men and women who serve our country, but also allowing grateful Americans like yourselves to come together to do these very tangible acts of kindness. Simple, although knitting doesn't appear to be simple to me, but for some of you it probably is. But these really simple acts, whether it's writing a letter, making a bracelet, or knitting a scarf, or one of these great, I can't even say the word yet, Kelly, aramagumi. I know that's not right.
Amigurumi.
Amigurumi.
There it is.
Has such a huge impact. It's incredible. More than I ever thought it would have. And I say this a lot. I did 27 years as a Marine. So I know what it's like to be away from home, and I know what my family goes through as well. And I remember the days, as you all do too, probably, it seems decades ago, when people would put pen to paper and write a letter, or they'd include something like this in a care package or note from home. And those days kind of went away, right? Because everybody got one of these, right? Great way to make our lives better, right? I say that sarcastically. But we still see volunteers coming together to do these handmade, we call them handmade with love items. And it really includes letters in my mind, these special cards that I know a lot of you make. And of course, these handmade and hand knit items like scarves and hats and bracelets. And it's almost surprising to me, because I've forgotten about it a little bit, because I was a little bit long in the tooth in my last couple of years, in my last couple of deployments, how important it is to reach out personally to tell people thank you, or reach out personally just to say hello and ask questions and try to gain an understanding of what they're going through. And I see it all over the country. We hear about it, Kelly and I and the rest of our team, in emails and letters that we get back from folks that are recipients of this goodwill that you all provide. And even recently, I was up in New York City a couple of times already, recognizing police that serve with NYPD, and we give them these special bracelets, right? The thin blue line bracelets to some of them. I've been working on these too. And they open these bags that have some, candy items or some comfort items, but they immediately go to these types of things. They go to the letters, they go to the bracelets, because they mean more than anything, because they know that it wasn't just a candy bar or just some, lip balm or some other item that is certainly is useful and appreciated, but they knew that somebody came together and spent some time, not just making something for them, but thinking about them and what they're going through. And sometimes we forget about, the lives of police officers, firefighters, military members, doctors and nurses, especially those serving during a tough time like COVID-19, that they're serving our communities, they're serving our country, but they have families at home too that are worried about them. And sometimes they get, maybe not forgotten, maybe not taken advantage of, but just not completely understood. And when we sit down as a group or even individually and we write a letter and we make a bracelet and we knit a scarf, we think about them and we bring that into context a little bit and just imagine what their life may be. And this little act of gratitude, I'm telling you, it goes a long, long way. You can see I'm wearing my bracelet. I don't know if you guys know Stacy, who worked for us. Kelly knows her well. She actually used to work for Kelly at one time. And Stacy made me my first bracelet back in October of 2018. I hadn't yet joined the team at Operation Gratitude, and I've worn it every day since. Now, don't worry, I wash it now and again, right? So, but I wear it. I like it. It's cool, right? And I think it looks good on my wrist, right? But I also wear it as a reminder that Stacy and thousands, probably tens of thousands, maybe hundreds of thousands, just like her, or maybe not just like her, Stacy's pretty special, but certainly with the same values that she has, the same idea that she wants to serve, someone like her made this for me. Just like today, we're going to make this for someone, right? And let's think about who that someone is, right? That someone may be some young 19-year-old kid who is away from home for the very first time. And he or she is away from home in a foreign country or on a ship somewhere. And every once in a while, they'll wonder, what am I doing? Right? Their buddies are back home and they're like, what am I doing? Is it worth it? And then they'll open up that care package and they'll read that letter and they'll put on that scarf. And we've seen them time and again say, wow, look, I remember watched this TikTok video, and I'm not a big TikToker, but I saw this, my son actually sent it to me, my youngest son, and it was a service member. It looked like he was sitting in a shack or a bunker somewhere, and he was going through his care package, and he held up a scarf and he said, wow, somebody made this for me. Right. So think about who that somebody is today. And I'm making a bracelet, and we'll go through the details here in a second, but think about who that somebody is, right? It could be a career police officer that served on the force for 20 plus years. I met one just recently up in Arlington, not far from where I live. And when I think of police officers, to be honest, I think of, men and women walking the beat, right? Or driving on the streets, keeping us safe, doing great work. I've always loved police officers. And, but I never really sat down to think about who they are and what their lives are like outside of work. What do they do when they go home? And he was telling me about one of his, or really a group of his officers that work for him. So he's a 20-year veteran plus, and he had some of these young officers, maybe 8, 10 years, 12 years in the force. And this was during the height of some of the unrest we had a few months ago in this country. And on one particular day, a couple called in, hey, I'm going to be late, boss. And he thought at first it was going to be one of those, sit outs. But what was really happening was they had to console their families and their children because of all the things they saw on social media or the news. They were being portrayed as the bad guy maybe. And these kids, these 8, 10, 12-year-old kids were afraid for mom and dad to go to work. One in particular actually had barricaded the front door, right? Barricaded the front door. And the dad was like, what are you doing? I don't want you to go to work, Dad. I'm afraid you won't come home. Right? So when we think about that, and we need our police officers, right? I guarantee you right now, if any one of us dial 911, they'll help us and they'll be there in a matter of minutes. We need those men and women who serve our communities. So something as simple, right? A couple of minutes, I take some time, I think about who they are, and I make this bracelet. And it may go to one of those officers that I'm talking about today. It may go to one, a Marine, a sailor, a soldier, an airman, a Coast Guard man or woman who's deployed right now overseas. Or maybe it'll go to some National Guard soldier or airman who's also deployed today. They're deployed differently, right? They're called up within their states. Sometimes they actually deploy overseas to augment our force, our military force. Other times they deploy right at home, but they're deployed nonetheless. They're away from their families. Maybe they're living in a barracks somewhere or a hotel, and they're serving in a different way. Right now we have in LA, for example, a little over 4,000 National Guard men and women who are mobilized and deployed helping out at vaccination sites. And you saw what happened around the inauguration. 25,000 National Guard men and women were deployed to Washington, D.C. to keep things safe and in order for the inauguration time period, right? So they're deployed too and away from their home, sometimes for their first time, sometimes for the 10th time. And to get something like this just bolsters their resolve a little bit and lets them know that they're not alone. It's not just them and their brothers and sisters in green or in blue. It's them and their brothers and sisters and their moms and their dads and their uncles and their aunts and all those of us who are their family who want to recognize them for what they do. So anyway, that's just kind of my take on it. It keeps me going. I know it keeps Kelly going, knowing that we're having this tremendous impact, more than you can imagine. And I've had people reach out to us that have said things like, "You've given me hope again." Right? That's incredible, right? One, we all know that hope is an incredible thing, right? And those of us who have at times in our lives have lost hope know how horrible that feeling is. And for a veteran in this particular case to reach out to me and Kevin to tell us that the care package that we put together and our volunteers contributed to gave him hope again. Well, really, really incredible. And what he does with that hope is he doesn't just hold it to himself, right? He'll spread it, he'll share it with others, particularly in the veteran community, right? When veterans are struggling, a lot of times they go inward, but when hope comes to them, then they can take that and share it with other veterans and help those communities get stronger. So anyway, let's get started. Let's just a quick raise of hands. Who have made these bracelets before? Anybody? Oh, thank goodness. I got a little bit of help if I need it today. All right. Well, I'll tell you a couple of things. One, don't give up. So it took me several iterations before I could finally make a bracelet that was worth anything, right? And to be honest with you, I quit several times. Like, I'll never get this. I'll never figure it out. What the heck are you doing? Stacy from the bracelet, she taught me how to do it. And then once I did 4 or 5 in a row, I stuck with it. Then I kind of had it down. I still make mistakes sometimes, but it's pretty easy to recover, right? The cool thing about these bracelets, I'll tell you a little bit more before we get started. The cool thing about these bracelets, one, you remember I told you how much I like wearing it, not because of the memory only, but because it looks cool, right? So a lot of our servicemen and women say the same thing. They like wearing these, right? They're pretty neat. But it's also a very practical piece of gear. Maybe you've heard the stories before, but so I just made this bracelet. I'll put it together. And imagine now you're deployed overseas, you're a truck driver, and you're on a dusty road in Iraq or Afghanistan, and you're cruising down the road, and all of a sudden you hear clang, 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 and you look behind you, and a bunch of the fuel cans or water jugs in the back of your truck have broken loose because the strap that you've had on there has been there since the Korean War, and that strap finally broke. And what do? Well, true story, they go to their packs, they take their bracelet, right? They take it off their pack, and then they deploy it. They just undo that final knot that we put in there. You'll see it here in a little bit. I made this one so good I'm having a hard time doing it, but I'll get it here in a second. They undo this knot. They undo this knot. Wow. There you go. They undo this knot, and then here they go. It takes all but a few seconds to deploy the bracelet, right? And now it's 8.5 feet or 7.5 to 8.5 feet of strong parachute cord, 550 cord. And I mean, it's parachute cord for a reason, right? We use this cord to sling soldiers and Marines and sailors and airmen underneath parachutes. It's strong cord. And they use it to tie down those broken loose cans on their vehicle, or they use it as a sling, right, for their weapon if the sling breaks and they're out on patrol. Or we've had folks use it just to separate an area, and they can hang a poncho on it to make a makeshift separation for maybe a bunk area or something like that. And in the extreme circumstances, we've had people use it to augment a tourniquet, or maybe to hang an IV bag in a casualty situation. So very practical as well. And what's cool about it is when we send these to our recipients in care packages, we include a little card. And in the card, it says, if you deploy it, tell us the story and we'll send you a new one. So of course we hear stories because everybody wants another one, right? So, all right, well, let's get started. The first step obviously is to have your parachute cord, right? Your 550 cord, and you have it cut to the appropriate length. And then you burn the ends, right? You'll see the ends are a little bit, if you can see that or not, right? Or else they'll fray. So you just use a lighter and you just kind of melt the end a little bit. And that keeps it from fraying. So the first thing, I don't know if you all have a jig. You guys have your rapid deployment jig? If you don't, yeah, there you go. If you don't have them, it's not 100% necessary. It's just helpful in the beginning because we use it to help us measure the length of the bracelet. And I don't use a jig all that often. I'll use it today a little bit. And first, it's important to understand how the bracelet works, right? So when we finally complete the bracelet, we'll have obviously two ends. One end's going to have a little loop or a hoop. The other end's going to have a knot, right? And that becomes the clasp for the bracelet. You just put the knot through the loop, voila, and now you've got the bracelet that will stay on your wrist or connect to your backpack or whatever it might be. So the first thing we have to do is create that knot. That's the first step. Now we have a video online that is, Kelly can maybe share afterwards, or if she hasn't shared it already, a YouTube video that does a much better job than I'll do today. But the first step for us is to create a knot at the end. So I'll show you a couple of ways to do that. Now, after you create the knot, you want to tail about, maybe half the length of your pinky left, right? So I start with about 3 inches. The easiest way to do it is just to do 2 overhand knots. So I just tie a little quick knot and then tie another one right on top of it. Then you got those 2 knots close together, and that becomes kind of your knot. And you can see I've got, about half my pinky length of a tail there that I'll use later on, right? That's one way. The other way, and the faster way, now the reason I say that is we do competitions sometimes. We'll see, we started this on our 16th birthday. We wanted to see how many bracelets we can make in 16 minutes. Now our birthday comes up next week, so maybe and we're turning 18 years old this year. So maybe we'll do an 18-minute challenge. But the other way to do it is you take that end about 3 inches long, and there is a 3-inch mark on your jig. At the bottom of your jig, you'll see there's a little 3-inch mark. And you take that 3 inches and you can make a little loop just like that with the free end, the short end, on top of the loop as it's facing you. I hold that in my left hand, and then I make another loop and push it through that loop. And then I slide the knot down. And what I've done here is I just created, for those of you that may have been Girl Scouts or did an outdoor program, or you'll see it's just a little slip knot. And then I take that free end, that little tail, I tuck it through the slip knot, pull it tight, and then I've got kind of a large figure 8. There you go, figure 8 knot. You all see that? again, the idea is we want to create a knot there that, looks okay, right? It's going to be part of the bracelet, but also will serve as our knot that will help us with our clasp. So that's step one. Get that knot in there with about a half of a pinky length, maybe not even a half, as your tail end. And then using your jig, you've got these 2 dots down at the far left end, and then you can see the arrows, right? Now imagine if this was a block of wood and these dots were nails. You would position that knot you just made between those 2 little nails, then you would just wind your cord around. And what we're doing is we're measuring the length of the cord, which is about 8.5 inches long. Now what you can simply do is take your free end, put it on those 2 dots on the left-hand side, take the other end, the long end, and put it on that single dot on the right-hand side. Pinch it right there, and then bring them together, just like that. So I would measure, I'm just measuring the length. I pinch it, and I bring them together. Now I've got 2 lengths of my cord about 8 inches long. And then I take that long end, and I yet connect them again. So now I've got 3 lengths of cord about 8.5 inches long. And you'll note that on my right side, I've got the long end. On my left side, I've got the knot. And that knot and that little loop now that I've created, right, they should stay relatively close together, almost right next to each other. Now we're going to start making the bracelet. And this is the most important step, believe it or not, is that first or second turn. And all we're simply going to do now is wrap all this free end around those 3 lengths of cord to make the bracelet. Now, the way I do it is I hold the end opposite the knot in my left hand with the free end facing me on top of the loop, right? So you can see I'm holding it and I got the free end facing me on top of the loop. And so just watch now as I do this, if I can show you on the YouTube video here or the screen. I'm taking that free end and I'm wrapping it under and around. And when I do that, you see that loop that I'm creating? That loop on the end becomes the loop on the end of my bracelet where the knot's going to go through eventually, right? And the reason I say this is important, that first wrap or 2 need to be tight to keep the cord from sliding off the end, right? So what I do is I wrap around once, I wrap around twice, I pinch it and hold it, right? As I'm pinching and holding it, then I just turn a couple of times just to get 3 or 4 more wraps on there, right? And now you'll see that I've got on my cord, 3 or 4 wraps around those three lengths of cord that are 8.5 inches long. And then now I just hold the long end, the free end here in my left hand just to kind of hold it so it doesn't go anywhere. And then I just start turning the cord, right? Just turning the cord around the bracelet. And I'm just, if you can see here, I'll put it down. I'm just kind of turning and turning. And it's okay if this gets a little bit, you can see Kelly's doing the same thing, right? And the idea is I'm going to turn all this cord around what's going to be my bracelet. I just keep turning and turning, and you'll see what happens as I start to get down. There's a little bit of space there, if you can see the space. Well, when I have space, I just slide those loops down the cord. Just gently slide them down, all the while trying to keep my loop on the far end kind of unencumbered, right? I don't want to have these slip off the loop. I slide down a little bit to make more room for the cord, and I just continue to turn and continue to turn until I get close to the end. I got a little double knot in mine that I've got a demonstration knot. Let me take that out real quick. And you'll see people get confused sometimes because they'll get almost to the end, like I've gotten here, and they've got all this cord left. Like, what do I do with that? Well, you just slide down some more, right? I'm just sliding these down a little bit more. I made some more room, and I keep turning. Keep turning. Slide down just a little bit more. Make some more room. Keep turning. Now at the end, I want to have only a little bit of cord left, right? And you remember, there's my knot that we tied in the beginning. And then right behind my knot is that little loop. Remember I said there'll be a loop and a knot right by each other? There's that little loop. And all I'm going to do now is I'm going to take that little bit of an end, I'm going to tuck it into that loop and make sure it's through. I don't need to pull it tight because then I'm going to take these loops and slide them up there. And what that'll do is it'll lock it in place. Now my bracelet's done. And then I kind of just smooth it out. Some people will put it down on the table, right? I don't know if you can see that or not. They'll put it down here and kind of roll it out a little bit just to roll it smooth. But now the bracelet is done. And I simply take, remember I said keep about a half a pinky free end? Well, when I wrap it around somebody's wrist, I use that free end to go through my loop, my hoop there, and then I can pull it, give me a little bit of leverage so I can get it over the knot. And then there's my bracelet. Don't worry, we're gonna do a couple of these, right, to make sure everybody's got it down. So let me get another one here to get started again. How do we do? We do okay? I saw Janet was working a little bit, and Melanie seems to be making some progress. So I'm just going to go through it again. You can kind of hold what you have, and then we'll talk about some techniques to kind of quality control it at the end if things don't work out. So remember, we're going to tie a knot at the end. You can do 2 overhand knots. You can do a figure 8 knot if you know how to do that. Or I make my loop. I push a loop through to make a slip knot, put the tail through my slip knot, and then I've got my knot. There you go. And then I measure right between the dots about 8.5 inches, pinch the end, got 1, 2, and now 3 links. I got the long end of my right hand facing me. I'm going to make my first loop. I'm going to go under and around. I'm going to pinch it and hold it tight and turn 2 or 3 tight loops on that end. And then I'm going to hold all this in my left hand facing me, my right hand, I'm just going to turn it like a screwdriver. Now, Kelly will tell you she's got a technique. She actually sometimes will use a drill, and she'll, and instead of, there she is, instead of me, I'm using my hand to rotate and twist it, she'll use her drill and she can do them in about a second. If I did that, I think I'd tear my fingers off. So I'll just do it this way. I'll get carpal tunnel syndrome, but I'll do it this way, right? And you can see I'm just twisting, twisting, twisting. And again, I've got a lot of cord left and I'm almost, dare I say, to the end of my rope, right? But I just slide down the loops, just kind of slide them down, make more space, and then keep twisting. Slide them down, make a little bit more space, and keep rotating. Slide them down. And sometimes if you're making the bracelet too tight, if you're making the loops too tight, then you'll have too much extra left over. So as you make them, you'll start to get a feel for how tight to wrap. And Kelly will tell you too that it's just like yarn, I'm guessing, when you're making scarves and hats and knits, the type of yarn you use yields different results. Same thing with paracord, right? Not all paracord is made the same, so some will be different. But again, I've got to the end, right? You can see behind the knot, if I pull it away from me, right? If I pull the knot away, I see that little hoop. I'm going to tuck that free end right through there, right, to hold it. You can see how I tucked it in, and then I just slide them up to lock it in place, and then slide the loops up, make sure they're nice and even. I got my hoop at the end, just put it through, and I'm ready to go. All right, who's ready to race?
Can you show the end one more time? I'm sorry.
Yeah,
like,
sure.
Just hold it up.
Yep. So I'll undo mine and I'll show you how I finish it up. So as you wrap it to the top, right, you'll see that at the end, see, I've got a little bit of cord left, right? I've wrapped it all the way up. And at the end, you can see I can barely see that hoop coming through. Let me see if I can show you that. I can barely see that little bit of a loop there, right? You see that? And then I'm just going to tuck it. I pull the knot out of my way so I can see it, right? Pull the knot towards you so you can see the loop. And then you just take that little bit of an end and you push it through the loop, right? Look at Kelly go. But did that work, Melanie? Did you see it?
I think so. Is that like, this is the little, I need to do the ends, but that's the
Yeah,
knot. And then, so do I just trim
Right.
this off and melt it?
You can just trim that off,
Okay.
right? And you'll see, Melanie, when you get used to it. So there's my end, right? When I finished, you can see that
Okay.
I've got the knot with the tail and just a little bit sneaking through. And you get to the point where if you wrap it so tight, you'll have only about that much sneaking through. See that little bit of a nub there, and that's
Okay.
all. And you won't have to trim it off, but you can certainly trim it off. You hit it with a lighter real quick. You know, that's kind of the quality control as you go through, right? So, and sometimes I'll make these for individuals personally, and maybe I'll make them for, you know, a young lady that has a small wrist, and I'll make them a lot smaller. And then there will be a longer tail at the end, and we just trim it off and touch the end up a little bit with a lighter, and we're ready to go. You guys want to do another one? Yeah, who's ready for one more? Okay, so here we go, right? I'm gonna start with about 3 inches of the cord. I'm gonna make my knot, right? I just make a loop, tuck another loop through, pull it down, pull that little first knot down. I got a slip knot, put my end through the slip knot, pull it tight, and there's my knot. Gonna measure the length. Now I'll measure between the O and the E of my Operation Gratitude shirt. It's almost exactly 8.5 inches. Pinch the end. Got my three cords. I make sure that the long end's in my right hand and it's facing me. I got to get that first wrap really tight. So I go under and around, right? Pinch it and then turn 2 or 3 times to get 2 or 3, maybe 4, maybe 5 tight loops right on this end, right? I switch it. I hold it in my hand like this. So the running end is coming down. I just grab those loops and I'm turning them. And I'm wrapping and wrapping around what will soon become the bracelet. I continue to wrap. And here we go. I got all that line left. So I just simply pull these loops down just a little bit. And see how they slid down. I created all that space so I can wrap around some more. Still have cord, pull the loops down a little bit more. And wrap around. Still a little bit of space, so I pull them down even more. Wrap around, and now I've got just a little bit left. As I'm looking at the knot, I pull the knot towards me. I can see that little loop. I take this little bit that's left, and I just tuck it in that loop. It's probably a little bit easier if I had some fingernail. I don't have any, but tuck it in there. I make sure that it's through just a little bit, and then I push those cords up, those little loops, just push them up a little bit to tighten them against that knot. That bad boy's not going anywhere. I roll it out to make sure it's nice and smooth, and I have another one down, right? I mean, I've already made 2, 4, 5, 6, 7. I've made 7 already, right? That's 7 police officers, 7 sailors, 7 Marines, 7 soldiers, 7 airmen, 7 Coast Guard men that are on my list, right? But of course, 7's not enough. So let's make 8, right? We go through one more. Where are folks having trouble? Go ahead, Janet.
Janet, you need to come off of mute.
Okay.
There she goes.
I don't understand how I get the wrapping started. I understand making
Okay.
the knot and measuring it out, but I can't figure out how to start the wrapping.
Yep, here we go. So let me get
Thank
another
you.
one started. No, this was where I was. And I'll tell you too, my boss, you guys, I think know Kevin. Once I got good at bracelets, Kevin couldn't make any. And if you know anything about Kevin, he's super competitive. So he didn't like that. He started making bracelets, and now he can make them like anybody's business, right? He'll sit on calls, and in a half hour, he'll make dozens of bracelets. It's great. All right. So when I've got this, right, in the way I do it, the video will be a little bit different when you watch it. The way I do it, and I'll try to turn my camera so you can see almost from my angle. I hold it in my left hand like this, right, facing me, and I've got this loop facing me. So it's on top. So as you look at it, the loop should be facing you, and you've got this free end, right? And I'm just going to wrap it around like this. I'm going to go under and around. See how I did that, Janet? Did I lose you? Oh, there she is. So I go under and around, right? And I'll pinch it. That way it doesn't slide around. And then as I'm pinching it, I'll just grab all three of these and I turn them away from me. And as I turn them away, you can see how this gets wrapped around. Do you see that? Right? And then at this point now, I've got, if you can see, 3 or 4 of the loops wrapped around. I still have my hoop at the end. That's going to be part of my clasp with the knot, right? And now that I've got that, now I just rotate. I'm just turning. I just turn, and I'm just wrapping these around. Did you see how to do that, Janet?
No, but I don't want to take any time. Can you just tell me no. Just tell me the video, the YouTube video. I just don't know.
Okay.
I'm sorry. I don't want to take up your time.
No, my time is your time, right? So again, when you're just holding it like that. You've got this long end, right? There's your loop. You're just going to wrap it around, right? Wrap it around. Now, if you pull too hard, yeah, there you go. Just like that, right? Just wrap, once you get 2 or 3, then you can pinch them and hold them, right?
Oh, I see. Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
And then you just keep turning them around.
Hey guys,
Anybody else?
for ease of making these, when you begin your wrap towards yourself. Okay, so
Yep.
you're coming up backwards instead of the other way. If you go forward, that means you're going to be twisting backwards. It's a lot easier if you put those first 3 wraps and you wind towards yourself. You'll find that it's much easier to do the twisting.
And as you turn them, you don't have to make it super tight, right? And you'll get a feel, and you'll, just like you do when you're doing your knitting, you'll figure out how you want to make your bracelets. They don't have to be the same. They don't have to be, super tight, super loose. It's how you feel comfortable making them. And that's what makes them so special, because these aren't mass produced, right? Except by, people like you, who I know you guys will make hundreds, probably thousands of these things. But we don't send these out to, some factory somewhere. We like the fact that each one's its own bracelet made by somebody special for somebody special. Any other questions, comments? Was everybody able to get the paracord they needed? I know Kelly, I think, gave you guys several opportunities and examples on where to get the paracord.
I just want to say that it gets easier the more you do it, and it is a little confusing in the beginning. It took me several tries until I got it down, but once you get it down, you've got it. And I love making them. They're easy. I've got a big, huge 1000 spool ready to cut and go to it. So don't give up. You can do it.
That's the important part. Because again, as a Marine, I hate to admit that I even give up on anything, but I tell you, when I first started this, I was in, Janet, the same thing as you. I was like, how do I get that first wrap? And I thought Stacy was going to wrap it around my head. But I finally, figured it out, right? And once you finally figure it out, and truth be told, it's hard to teach like this, right? If we were together in the same room, we'd all have it down pat. My kids make them. My son's girlfriend is really good at them, and she'll come over to the house sometimes and she'll make dozens of them. Yeah, it's fun. It's fun to do when you're in meetings, watching TV, whatever it may be.
I have a question. I'm
Yes,
not,
ma'am.
I'm not good with implements that could do you harm, so I would never use the drill. But how do you cut them and burn them, which sounds more like more things that might hurt my fingers?
So we have a machine that we use that one of our volunteers made that we cut several at a time with a hot knife, and the knife actually burns them as they go. Kelly uses it looks like a wood burning tool that she'll cut, with a knife or with scissors, and then she just burns the end. The good news,
Actually,
Penny, is go ahead.
Paul, this actually does cutting and sealing at the same time. So once it gets fully up to heat, it takes about 3 minutes to get fully hot. You literally can just push this through and you instantly seal and cut it all at the same time. I think I spent $13 for it on Amazon.
And then the other thing is we have an eBay store, and we will send folks pre-cut cord. And let's be honest, that's what I'm using, right? I get pre-cut cord just because I don't have the time or the place to go do it, and I like having the pre-cut cord ready to go. So we can help you with that too. And Kelly can provide a link to that as well. And we can work with our team, Kelly. Maybe we do for our Handmade with Love group, our Facebook group. Maybe we work a special deal if they want to get some pre-cut cord.
So you got that nice red, white, and blue stuff off of Amazon?
I got this. Well, this is something that our team got for us. I'm not even quite sure where we have it. So I've got the red, white, and blue. We have coming up, Kelly's got a special type of cord that she uses for our Vietnam veterans. It's made in the same color as the Vietnam service ribbon. And we found that to be a really special cord for a group of very special veterans that unfortunately our nation forgot about at one point or another, but we've never forgot about them at Operation Gratitude. And I know our volunteers and supporters haven't either. So we have that very special cord. I think you've seen the thin blue line cord. And then of course we have, a variety of different colors, fun colors. We have, I almost said army green, but who am I kidding? We have Marine Corps green right there. And so a variety of different colors. I have some red and white. I have some blue. So it can be fun too, right? And you can use this as just a red and white cord. You can pick a color, any color. And, we've seen people use black cord. We've seen people use hot pink cord. Just depends on what they want to use. Obviously, nobody's going to put hot pink on their wrist in the field, right? If they're training somewhere, but they'll wear them at home. I visited a firefighter in Arlington, another place in Arlington, and she was giving me a tour of her fire station. And we had given them care packages about a year and a half before, and we did a special delivery last winter. And she said, "Hey, I have to show you my backpack. I still have my paracord you guys gave me a year and a half ago." And we went upstairs and her backpack wasn't there. And she said, "Oh shoot, I think I left it at home today." And so later on that night, she sent me a text and a photo because she wanted to make sure that I didn't think she was just saying that, right? So she sent me a text and a photo, and sure enough, there was her paracord bracelet that we had made for her a year and a half before. And she still had it with her, kept it on her backpack just in case she needed it. So pretty cool stuff. All right. So Janet, I'm going to look forward to hearing a report, not just from you, but from everybody. I want to hear through Kelly, or I want to see him on the Facebook group site. I want to see the paracord bracelets that you guys are making and what they look like. So I'm going to hold you to it. I want to see the fruit of our labor today. Sound good? All right. Okay, well, I suppose I'll let you guys get back to your day.
Thank you, Paul, for doing this class. I know ladies have really appreciated it. Folks, I'll go ahead and post the links to our paracord video in the group. And if anyone would like to stay on and learn how to use the drill, I will happily teach you because it's really very, very simple. It's the same as what you're doing with your hand after you get to that point of you've got your 3, you've got that starting couple of pieces on. Oh shoot,
Hey, so I'm going to drop off, but let me finish by saying thank you to you all. And in Operation Gratitude, that's our business, right? Saying thank you. And we say it a lot, but I want to make sure that you understand we don't just say it, right? It means something when Operation Gratitude uses those 2 very special words of thank you. And the gratitude that goes with your service is so appreciated by me, by Kevin, by Kelly, by our entire team. But most importantly, it's appreciated literally by hundreds of thousands of men and women across the country. So when you think about what bonds you to them, what bonds you to us, it's that common bond of service, right? And through that service, you're expressing gratitude in no way that can be stronger. So thank you for all you do. Thank you for your service, and thank you for being part of this great team at Operation Gratitude. Have a wonderful weekend.
Thank you, Paul.
Thank you.
We'll see you guys.
All right, ladies, I see a lot of you stuck with me. So hang on just 1 second. All right, so I've got to reset my my screen, and I need to pin me to the top. There we go. All right, so this is really simple, and it's actually a lot of fun, something I really enjoy doing, and it's how I made 13,000 plus bracelets in 10 weeks last year for the organization. If they're not made right, we want every bracelet to be perfect, and I mean perfect. So a lot of times they're handed out to our staff, and we'll go back and we'll do it. Sometimes it's a really minor adjustment. Other times you got to pop the whole bracelet and do it again. So we've got the knot, we've looped back and forth, and we've got all of our twists on here. So now all you're going to do is you're going to stick this into your drill, and we're going to tighten this up. Did not realize I had it quite so far open. All right. So there it is. So my hand is going to do the same exact thing it would have done if my hand was twisting. And you begin by, first off, by making sure it's twisting the right way. And all you are doing with your left hand is guiding. So I have a little bit of cord left. So I'm going to simply take and move my stitches down a little bit. I'm going to go ahead, and there we go. We're almost to the end. So now I actually like to leave it in the drill because it allows me to use both hands real easily. And so here I am. I'm down to my little pin or my little end. I bring my loop around, put it through. Sometimes they really want to fight. Now I'm going to take it out of the drill, and my bracelet is done. So on average, I'm making a bracelet in about 30 seconds. Now you have to understand I have really severe arthritis. As you can see, my hands are knurled. So that constant twisting motion was something I had to get away. So I started doing this. It's literally as simple as once you get your loop and you have at least 3, 1, 2, 3 loops wound, pop that thing in a drill, and you'll figure it out. You'll figure out if you've got your drill set the wrong direction, it'll just spiral out of control and unwind. So there's nothing to it. Here, I'll grab another one, and there's no knot in this one, so we're going to make a quick knot. And by the way, knitters and crocheters, all you need to do is simply make a slip knot and slide your end through. Okay, it's that first knot we make for crocheting and knitting, so there's nothing to it for us. All right, so that looks about right. Come on, you. My disadvantage right now is all the cord I have is pre-used, so it looks all curly and knurly. So, oh, good Lord, now I have a knot on both ends. What an idiot. Let me take this one out. I don't want to come slapping back at me when I get to the end. All right. So we're going to do this again. I've got my knot in. I'm going to go back and forth just like we showed you on the jig. We're getting to the point where we're ready to go. And remember what I said. You want to wind backwards. Okay, so I'm coming towards me. There's 1 loop, 2 loops, 3 loops. And I sometimes will give it a little bit of twist. Throw your cord forward. See, I knew you weren't set. Tightened it into the chuck. Oh, sorry about that. I didn't show that again. Okay, let me open that up a little bit. So we put it into the drill chuck, and I like to cheat and let the machine tighten up for me. Sometimes though, and you'll see until you get used to doing this, it is going to spin out of control. All right. So now we're set, and we're just going to slowly and gently let the drill do the work that the right hand was going to do. Okay. And I'm going to just keep twisting. Still got cord. So sometimes as you get to the end, you might have to do a little adjusting. And we're at the end. Put your end through and you're done. That literally is how simple it is to use the drill. Okay, any questions? No? Y'all are really quiet today. Wow. Okay, folks, well, if that's it for all of you, if you have questions, if you are still not confident in what you're doing, you can email me, message me in the group, and I will happily sit and give you a private lesson so that you are confident in what you're doing. All right. You know me, I'm always happy to teach. So if you need anything, reach out to me and I will take care of it. All right. Otherwise, thank you as always for participating.
I
Yes.
couldn't pin anything. I don't know where the pin thing is. To pin this,
Pin?
you said pin the person so they stay there.
Oh, if you click, hang on just a second. I'm going to actually unpin myself. If you click on a person's picture, okay, and you'll see the 3 dots. If you click on that, there's a menu that pops up. Click on pin, and that person will stay on your screen all the time. Or
Wonderful.
what?
I said, that's great. I didn't know that. Thank you.
Oh, okay. Anybody else in any Zoom lessons? No? Okay, ladies, I'm going to go back to my day. Thank you again. I really enjoyed being here with you, and I'll make sure that Paul gets a special thank you. Everybody have a wonderful day and take care. Bye-bye.
Thanks, Kelly.
Thank
Bye.
you. Bye-bye.